All right, everyone. We've seen a slew of failed policies from the Biden administration. Certainly big on everyone's minds right now. It's the border, stupid. It's not even inflation anymore so much as the border. It's the number one issue now all of a sudden. I wonder why. Could it be because half the states in the United States are telling Biden to fucking knock it off? That might have something to do with it. It's not helping his poll numbers either. We'll be looking into those later. But we've also got an insane energy policy. Now, for a brief, happy moment under Donald Trump, for a couple of years, the U.S. was a net energy exporter. Joe Biden has done just about everything that he possibly can since he's gotten into his stewardship position to dismantle that. I realize that the liberals will counter by saying, well, the amount of gas and oil being produced is higher than before. Yes, it's higher than it was years ago. What else is higher? World consumption, the population. It may be reducing slowly over time from peak oil usage, but gas is making up a lot of that difference. Liquefied natural gas is a very, very good energy, and the United States has a shit ton of it. We have natural gas all over the place. Just like we have got more oil than we used to think. You remember back in the old days, they said, well, we're hitting peak oil. We're going to run out of it. But then they developed better methods to actually explore for it. And we found that actually oil has welled up in areas we thought were exhausted. It exists in areas we thought it couldn't exist in. It's pretty much everywhere. Oil and natural gas are all over the place. The United States has a massive amount of energy resources. Now, the only thing we don't have quite enough of them, our own lithium supply for battery systems. We're more reliant on China for that. By the way, if you did some exploring, I bet you'd find more lithium is available, especially in some of those lands that the government won't let anyone develop. Now Joe Biden is canceling a bunch of permitting for natural gas extraction. And people have noticed something. And this has been a pattern with the administration. We'll draw a comparison to what happened to New York City's mayor actually some time ago. The thing, it appears to be retaliatory in nature. The state of Texas tells Biden to back down on the border. And a few weeks later, a bunch of permitting proposals that would have impacted the economy of Texas just happened to magically dry up. This is an awful lot like when Eric Adams there was raided by the FBI, coincidentally a couple weeks after he spoke out against Biden's border policies. Really, Joe Biden and his administration have embarked upon persecution of every dissident that they possibly can. The IRS, being expanded, is going to start targeting people who've spoken out. That is a guarantee, by the way, so be careful about those deductions. Make sure that all of the deductions you're taking are proper, and that you keep copies of your old tax returns, because there's a higher chance of being audited. We see what's happening to Trump, his opponent. He's under a slurry of lawfare right now, some of which is federal, and the rest directed at the state level by people who are allies of the Biden admin, generally speaking. It's persecution. It's an attempt to shut people up. It's an attempt to punish people for pointing out that his administration is completely goddamn dysfunctional. On the border, Joe Biden has fundamentally failed. We'll be talking about Elon Musk's reductionist proposal to solve the border crisis in the next video. On energy, somehow Biden is almost as bad. And crime, and justice, and, well, pretty much everything else. Foreign diplomacy is certainly going well right now. There's an oil tanker off the coast of Yemen that's on fire after getting hit by a missile right now. Yeah, that sea lane defense system is working wonders. Yeah. Only a matter of time before the Houthis manage to sink a U.S. destroyer or something like that. And then all hell breaks loose in foreign policy too. It'll be just as bad as the border. And all these crises are interconnected by one thing: the dysfunction of the Biden administration. In foreign policy weakness, the perception of the United States as weak and not well equipped has led to a series of crises overseas. Domestically, the Biden administration's incapability of negotiating with the far left flank of the Democratic Party has in part led to the border crisis. With energy, his pandering towards so-called green energy groups and so-called environmentalists, really they're NIMBYists more than environmentalists. You won't see them planting many trees or doing an organic backyard garden. And they could sequester their own CO2 with charcoal in their backyard. I'm getting a cord of wood tomorrow. I'm going to rig up a charcoaling furnace, and I'm going to sequester tons and tons of carbon dioxide in my garden. Supposedly it's good for the environment. I just say that it's good for crop growth. You won't see them doing it, but in his pandering to these groups, in part, and also his retaliatory nature. Joe Biden has decided to fuck further with the energy industry. We see like Keystone. Keystone was going to go up. That would provide some jobs, and it would make oil transportation better. That project was taken out of commission. I think there was another pipeline project that was disrupted by Biden. No, which one was it? Oh, it was the Nord Stream pipeline, yeah, where our Ukrainian friends, in the end, turned out to probably be the ones that bombed the pipeline. This made sense to begin with. But the energy last policies of Joe Biden are going to economically sting for years to come. It's not limited to, I mean, let's say Trump is reelected, and based on the polling, it looks increasingly likely. Probably, again, people are souring on Biden because everything is falling the fuck apart. If he gets back in, he can immediately allow the exploratory drilling, restore the permitting process, etc. But Joe Biden's trying to lay the groundwork to do enough damage so that it will take longer than another Trump term to actually ameliorate the damage already done. Like at the border, it's going to take an enormous amount of effort just to get things back to sort of how they were in the kind of peaceful times of like 2018. It'll take more effort than was put in his first term on the border to restore just the damage done to it since since Biden's stewardship began. On crime, the same thing is true. It'll take years to reabsorb that extra crime rate, even if you tackle the illegal crisis. Fentanyl and drugs and so forth. Of course, I'm against the drug war. I'm also against Chinese fentanyl. I don't understand why people would particularly want it, but some people apparently think that it's great. They stagger around for a few hours like zombies in the middle of San Francisco, and nobody does anything about it. There's no addiction rehab for them because they had to take over the addiction center and turn it into a migrant hotel. On energy, likewise. It will take several years to simply get back to the way things were in Trump's term. He starts off with that deficit. I mean, getting back to square one will take the first 2 years, assuming he can get the cooperation of Congress. Well, right now, the Republicans hold a narrow edge in congressional polling, which is great. The Senate map looks pretty good for them. But some of those people are rhinos. They're not exactly MAGA populists. I have a feeling there will be a larger degree of MAGA populism, especially in the House come the next election. That's still a minority within the party. It speaks to the majority of the will of the public, but it speaks to a minority of the will of the actual people in Congress, which is regrettable. The America Last energy policy, therefore, the damage from it will last for longer than the next term. I mean, what you need Trump reelected. Then you need like 2 terms of Rand Paul or somebody like that. And then, we can get back to being an energy exporter. Then we can get back to having made America better than it currently is. We can restore some semblance of order, and at the very least, things will be better. Perfect? No, and they never will be. But they would be better than they are currently. Personally, I think that the House Republicans are dumb for not having already impeached Joe Biden. He's done a number of impeachable things. They should do it multiple times. They should have different hearings for different aspects of why they want to impeach. Give him a third impeachment or something like that. By the way, you do realize that they'll look for any excuse to impeach Trump in his second term. Oh, he's got a legendary third impeachment to his name. He'll be acquitted by the Senate, of course, as before, but they will probably succeed in doing so at some point. And they won't waste time with it like the Republicans do. The Republicans are pussies. That's about all. Peace out.